Each year, about 1.2 trillion gallons of untreated sewage, stormwater, and industrial waste are dumped into the oceans and water systems in the United States. Most of the water is a natural resource for life, and people really rely on it. So do animals and other living organisms. So we need water not only to drink, but also to cook our food, to wash and have an irrigation system, and fishing, all that. People have been abusing and misusing water since a long time ago. Industrial waste and garbages and other materials are used to remain and used for commodities that have been getting dumped in rivers and oceans, causing contamination of water. It is also contaminated of toxic chemicals discharged from factories, pesticides, and used in agricultural and so on. Due to the poor water supply system, contact of sewage and other water supply lines contaminates the drinking water. Contaminated water has been a serious threat to human beings, fish, and other animals. The poor and less developed countries are facing greater problems due to the lack of drinkable water, and they are in a state of despair on which water treatment and supply systems are very lacking. Today we're going to be learning about why we should not pollute our water systems. So people just freely dispose of water products and garbage as they wish, straight into waters and lakes and the ocean. About 1/3 of the population of the world does not have access to safe drinkable water, and a very common waterborne disease is diarrhea because they don't have the stuff to get it, which is caused by contaminated water. It is very common in poor countries, and it's a segment for poor people of less developed countries. Developed countries are almost free from water pollution, but the problem is the people in developed countries, they don't care about how they dispose of their products. They just throw them into the ocean, lakes, and rivers because they have water systems that can filter out all the bad stuff from the water. They also use a bunch of pesticides, and it runs off into lakes, rivers, and eventually into the ocean, which causes damage to the ecosystem. However, the developed countries are not conflicted with the problem as much as water contamination as much as the poor ones, because they have sufficient resources and technology for treatment and recycling. Now I'm going to list some of the causes of water pollution. So industrial waste. Industrial waste is, they produce huge amounts of waste that contains toxic chemicals and pollutants that can cause air pollution and damage to the environment. They contain pollutants such as mercury, sulfur, asbestos, nitrates, and other harmful chemicals that are also released into the water. Many industries do not have a proper waste management system, and they drain their waste right into fresh water systems. Sewage and wastewater. The sewage and wastewater is produced by each household and is chemically treated and released into the sea as fresh water. The toxic chemicals have the capability to change the color of the water, increase the amount of minerals, and also change the temperature of the water, causing serious habitat problems. The sewage water carries harmful bacteria and chemicals that can cause serious health problems as well. Marine dumping. This is the garbage that produces in each household in the form of paper, aluminum, rubber gloves, plastic, food that's collected and deposited into the sea in some countries. These take from 2 weeks to 200 years to decompose from the water and ground systems. Each such is the item, they do not cause water pollution, but are also harmful to the animals at sea. For example, like water bottles and plastic bags and Gatorade rings, they can suffocate animals and get stuck and cause problems for the whole environment. Accidental oil leakage. Oil spills are a huge concern, and as a large amount of the oil in the environment does not dissolve into the water, so it opens for local marine wildlife such as fish, birds, and sea otters. Ships contain large quantities of oil, and if a spill is made, it can vastly affect the entire area surrounding it. So the burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil, when we burn them, it produces substantial amount of ash, and it is released into the atmosphere. and then when it rains, it comes back into the water and all of our systems, and then it just produces more harm. So some of the solutions for water pollution are practicing responsible use of fertilizers or pesticides so they don't run off, minimizing the stormwater runoff, filtering all the runoff, containing oil spills, protect curb inlets and drains so stuff like this doesn't get released into the water systems, the capture and disposal of floating pollution in the waterways such as this, the capture and filter of sediment that's in the waterways, and don't litter. In conclusion, water pollution causes deaths due to fresh water not being present, as well as the pollution that kills off animals that people use to survive. It affects the entire ecosystem as an environment and animals and people who live in them. Precautions and solutions like the ones listed above need to be taken in order for this problem to be fixed.